Let's get to it.
All right, let's do it. Well, not yet.
What up? Welcome to Dell and Pinky Show. I'm Dell. That's Pinky.
What's up?
We got a lot to talk about today. Woo! A lot on the gamut. So we got Seattle versus Buffalo. That was an insane game. Tampa Bay versus New Orleans. Another insane game. Miami versus Arizona. A very good game. So we could talk about all three of those things. What do you got, Pinky? Anything on those three things? Any of those three games that come up that surprise you the most?
I mean, Seattle just going in and getting their asses busted.
Their defense was terrible.
We both had that wrong. That was absolutely ridiculous. Russell still had a good game, even though he turned over the ball 4 times. It just seems like every time, no matter how many turnovers he has, they're still in the game with him. They really weren't in this game, but he still had a good game. Josh Allen had a freakish game, 400 yards, 3 TDs, a great completion percentage.
I think he had a rushing touchdown, too.
He had a rushing touchdown as well,
TDs
correct. They really surprised me. Stephon Diggs still playing huge for Buffalo. A total transition from last year.
Yeah, he's really underrated.
Well, last year, he has better numbers this year outside of touchdowns than he did last year of all season. So they're totally underutilized with Minnesota, and I'm happy for him that he got out and the Bills are doing good. And I've been up on the Bills all season long. If you paid attention, like we talked about.
I pay attention.
I've been up on the Bills, and but
I got nothing better to do.
I just thought the Seahawks would come in and win. I thought their defense wasn't going to be that putrid, and I was wrong. I want to start really taking that into account when I start looking at Seahawks games.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we can almost look at them the exact same way that we looked at Kansas City last year.
Yeah.
They're going to play, every game's going to be close, even versus apparently teams like Carolina.
Right.
Kansas City had their hands full with Carolina in many different ways and barely squeezed out what seemed to be like what I call, man, a very disciplined game plan by Matt Rule. Man, they just play, and I mean, obviously it helps to having Christian McCaffrey back, who had 40 fantasy points.
Right. Right. Well, it's Christian McCaffrey.
I got my ass whooped this week. This dude had all 10 of his fantasy games were at 1 o'clock. All of them. And he had 150 points by 4:30.
It gave you a bar to reach. That you didn't reach.
I mean, I was at like 40 points. I mean, it was obnoxious. Anyways,
I'm creeping up on you, bud.
So Tampa Bay and New Orleans, wow, what a stink fest.
That was a total shocker as well.
I cannot believe the sloppies that were dropped that day.
And I picked Tampa Bay to win, even after that heated conversation we had the other morning on the way to work.
I know.
About defending New Orleans like it's my baby. And
after all that conversation, I influenced you to make the wrong decision.
Well, I just, the Buccaneers were at home. They're playing good. Tom Brady was, arguably top 5 quarterback in the league until basically that game because he really stunk it up.
And we made those predictions were made thinking that Chris Godwin was out and also Michael Thomas. Which, by the way, Michael Thomas, Christian McCaffrey just kind of slide back in. I mean, I didn't hear anything, a goddamn peep out of the NFL or anybody until Saturday morning that these guys might play tomorrow.
Mike Thomas was the leading receiver for New Orleans. He had 5 receptions for 51 yards. That just means Drew got that ball around. He connected with 12 different receivers. Crazy. The guys
was one of them himself.
No, but it was Taysom Hill.
I was gonna say, how do you have 12 receivers? I mean, like a fullback's a wide receiver at any moment, I guess.
Dude,
your 3 tight ends, obviously. You have 2 fullbacks, 3 running backs, 7 receivers. I mean, at what point?
It's crazy.
What are we setting defensive tackles out there?
We must.
I mean, 11.
All these guys,
ridiculous. But I mean,
they all have more than 1 catch except for 3 of them.
Tampa Bay 3 and out. New Orleans score touchdown. Tampa Bay 3 and out. New Orleans score touchdown. Tampa Bay 3 and out. New Orleans score touchdown. It was 28-0. I think that repeated. They might have got a first down on their 4th drive, but that repeated itself until it was 28-0.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy just watching it, just sitting here like, what the hell is going on? Like, I really can't believe my eyes here. Even though I argue New Orleans is the better team.
And I'll tell you right now that, like, we're from Detroit, where people will 1 week be on the Lions, and then after they get their butts whooped, the next week they're like, fire Patricia. And I always wondered if that was like a feeling that was carried from city to city. Oh, it absolutely is. Apparently, the people in Tampa Bay are doing the exact same thing that we do here, and they're saying, "Do you think Tom Brady is like mad that he regrets coming to Tampa Bay, like because of this game, because it was his worst game ever?"
That just shows that a lot of fans are irrational. I mean,
Right.
let's look at the very core word of fan. It's fanatic.
It's fanatic.
You know, so
correct.
I get where these fans come from a lot of the time, even though I see past that. I see the whole forest. I don't just look at the leaf, if you know what I mean. So
Whoa.
deep.
Analogous.
What is that? Is that a word?
Look it up. Yeah.
I'm going to look that up later. But anyways, Tom Brady looked totally pedestrian, and I understand the fans being kind of angry. I mean, I'm sure they're probably upset with Tom. And so,
Jesus.
has he lost it?
I mean,
you
I
know?
don't know if it's angry or if it's like
Maybe shock?
there's what's the step beyond angry where like your emotions start becoming more sad.
Numb. Tampa Bay has a great defense. They have a great defense. One of the best in the league.
Dude, Sean Payton's just got that offense just playing like
Sean Payton is
everybody
a whiz.
knows exactly
Drew
what to do.
Brees runs that offense flawlessly, and then you mix in Taysom Hill to switch it up at quarterback, and that guy's just a freak of fucking nature. That guy, he's a
can't-
linebacker playing quarterback.
It's so entertaining watch him go out there. For some reason, when he goes out there, I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen? Is he gonna be a receiver?
You know he's gonna get the ball.
They saw him throw it a couple times last game. I mean,
Yeah, that was interesting to see, and I love the play where he took off and the safety went low on him because he didn't want to get trucked, and he jumped right over him. That was great.
so Miami and Arizona, that was a really good game.
Twas.
Arizona lost because their kicker missed a field goal at the end of the game.
I've been saying for the last couple weeks, Miami's looking good, man. I thought
Miami's more of a complete team than Arizona is for sure.
the defense is playing very good, and even though the Cardinals put up 31 points, some of that was junk points. Their defense is good, and Kyler Murray looks like a stud still.
Tua was 20
We
for
talked about
28.
that.
That's pretty damn efficient, man.
Yeah, he was absolutely efficient.
2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
He showed me. He actually showed me. You know, like we talked about when we did our picks. I had to see more from him, see what he's going to do when he has to make that throw. And there was a couple throws, man, especially that one for the touchdown, where he just put it on the back of the defender's head and let his tight end go up and over and grab it. A great throw, great throw. It was really telling that he's going to be a good quarterback. And Miami Dolphins are a team to look at, you know, and look out for, because they're going to make the playoffs if they keep playing how they're playing. Like there's no doubt about it, and they're going to make a little bit of noise, I think.
He's making a connection with Devontae Parker, so that's a plus for him.
Yeah, it's
You
great for me
got to
too,
recognize when you got a really good player on your team. I mean, he actually had 7 rushes for 35 yards and a 17-yard rush. I mean,
yeah, he looked good on a couple of his runs. I thought he was going to get murdered on one of those runs, though.
I mean, it's always a possibility. That's what worries me the most with
He's not a
these
big
running
guy.
quarterbacks.
He's not a big guy.
I mean, some of them, like Kyler, even nowadays, like he's figured out that he's got to slide. You know what I'm saying? But there was a Tua had a play where I think he, jumped in the air, and it was like, oh my God, this could be very bad for you, sir.
Yeah, you don't leave your feet in the NFL
No, you do not leave
unless
your feet in the
unless
NFL.
you're a large man.
But I mean, really, honestly, the 2 big surprises for the week for me were the 2 quarterbacks that made an appearance that they might never make an appearance again, and that's Jacksonville's quarterback Jake Luton and Dallas's quarterback Garrett Gilbert. Man, these guys came out, and honestly,
Luton had a good game, man.
like Vegas gave him no chance.
No chance.
I mean, honestly, both quarterbacks played well enough to win.
The moment was too big for Luton, though, at the end of the game. He made a dazzling play to score a touchdown. All they needed was a 2-point conversion. He was just too amped, bro. He was hyped, bro.
Absolutely.
And I don't blame him, man.
I don't either.
He was hype as hell.
Not saying I would have been any better.
Right. I would have been going batshit crazy. I swear, man. I was happy for him, but man, he couldn't calm down, and then that throw, he short armed it, and it was behind his receiver when he had him open. If you just let him,
Right.
he could have forced that game into overtime. He totally shit the bed there, but I like the way he looks.
I do. Right, with quarterbacks like that, you almost expect them to not make those plays at the end of the game. So, it's really up to your team to win the game before the end of the game.
That's why I say I don't blame him for
And Dallas had that game won.
Well, we're talking about Luton, Jacksonville.
Well, I'm sort of talking about them both at the same
Okay,
time.
all right, cool.
Interchangeably, but we could talk about Jacksonville specifically. So Jake Luton from Oregon State played with our boy over there, with John Smith at Oregon State.
He was pretty good at Oregon State, but yeah, I mean, he finished the game
26 for 38, 304, touchdown and interception, so 68% completion percentage.
Yeah, great, man. I mean, that's a great game for your first game, and you're out of Oregon State. You never had any reps,
Right?
And
Houston's defense is not necessarily all that great. I mean, you got JJ.
No,
Watt
but it's
coming
still
in.
it's the NFL team though,
Right? But
These are NFL starters.
conversely, Dallas is facing Pittsburgh, so Garrett Gilbert had
Yeah.
a little bit harder of a workout that day.
Absolutely.
You know?
I mean, everything's in perspective and circumstantial. I get that.
Garrett Gilbert, also an SMU transfer from Texas. He was
a dog in
number
high
one rated
school.
quarterback out of high
Yeah,
school.
he was a dog.
21 for 38, 243 yards, touchdown and interception. So he had a 55% completion percentage.
Not bad.
I mean, right, Lutton was 68%. So I mean, that's more like on par with.
Yeah, that's a good quarterback. That's a good starting quarterback. I
Right,
mean,
but versus a worse team, so I'm gonna go ahead and just call it a draw because Dallas's Houston's defense is far inferior to Pittsburgh's defense. So I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say that maybe Garrett Gilbert had himself, the best possible day versus that team that he was gonna have. I'd love to see what the average quarterback rating is for a quarterback that faces Pittsburgh this year, just so I can get
yeah,
perspective.
we'll
on
look
that,
into that and maybe talk about that later.
So, what do you think are right now your top 4 AFC teams? We talked about this last week, but I really
Well-
like this conversation because it shifts. Usually, at least the order shifts in a lot of cases, not necessarily the 4, but your top
Man.
4 in the AFC.
I'm going to go, obviously, I'm going to put KC number 1. I have to because I've been riding with them, man. And I said at the beginning of the year, and I'm not going to back down from that. They're still my number 1 team. They're the team to beat. Defending Super Bowl champions, obviously.
Right.
So, and then number 2, obviously Pittsburgh. They're balling real well.
Right. Still undefeated.
Yep. Very good. And then number 3, I'm going to go with the Ravens. They beat a good game Indianapolis team. Very game Indianapolis team, especially on defense. And they had a pretty good game. Lamar Jackson had a pretty good game. So I have them in the number 3 spot. And then my number 4 is going to be the Bills. The Bills crept up in there to my number 4. They weren't there last week. Tennessee held down that spot.
Right on. Yep.
But they moved up ahead of Tennessee, even though Tennessee beat the Bears. But the Buffalo Bills, they beat a far superior team than the Bears in Seattle. So I got to move up there. And
Yep.
Josh Allen's just proven he can just go
Yeah, he can
nuts
ball.
at any time.
His progression is getting really good, and when you doubt him,
Yeah,
I mean,
so
he doesn't go too many days without a good game.
So yeah, like and Josh Allen, he can put his head down and run and totally truck you. Like it's no big deal,
a
you know.
big
So
boy, yeah.
he's a problem, and the Bills defense can come to play at any time. They messed with Russell Wilson, forced him into 4 turnovers. So
Well, my 4, I'm gonna keep Pittsburgh at number 1 like I have because they won even though
it wasn't pretty.
it wasn't pretty. They didn't expect Garrett Gilbert to play his ass off or come out with even a coherent idea of how to play the quarterback position because they're like, oh, who is this guy? Back up at the practice squad? I mean, I don't really know his history other than how he played in college, which was pretty, decent. And, at this point, I think Pittsburgh is the best team in the AFC just based on the fact that they haven't lost a game. So Kansas City most definitely is number 2. And here's where I'm going to shock you is I'm going to put Buffalo number 3.
Oh wow! I mean,
Yeah,
you were just saying I don't know how good they are the other day.
but the way they played versus Seattle, which is like that's a telling.
They played very good.
They won such an important game. I mean, I'm not basing this off of their win versus Cincinnati or something or some silly mediocre team. They played in my opinion one of the best teams in the NFC and they won very handily. So
Yep.
I'm gonna call them the 3rd best. And here's actually the biggest shockers. I want to put Tennessee number 4, and I'm gonna leave Baltimore out because
Oh wow!
Baltimore, despite being where they are 6-2, I honestly I'm just not a believer, man. I'm just not like. I love John Harbaugh, and I think they got great players, but until I see it all put together and Lamar Jackson actually making throws that looks like
Lamar Jackson's the wild card there.
like the team doesn't their offense doesn't surprise me ever, and the fact that it's not stopped every single play blows my mind. But then when it's stopped versus a good team, I'm not surprised. So I don't think that they can really hang with good teams. I think that they're beatable, and the blueprint is out to beat them. So
They beat Indy, and I mean, and Jackson, yeah, he's definitely the wild card, and he's even that's crazy to say, being that he was the MVP last year.
right,
You know, it's just even crazy to fathom. But like we've talked about, quarterbacks that can't make his throws consistently and that are generally a one read and dash guy get figured out very quick, no matter how fast and how dynamic of a runner you are. We have crazy dynamic running
Right.
backs that get stopped 4 out of 5 times.
I think you said it the other day. Michael Vick is the exception. Like to this day, he still dazzles me. You know, when I look back at the old videos or the old tape or whatever, it's him throwing the ball is as exciting as his rush plays. He could throw the ball so far in some of the plays that were made. I mean,
It wasn't the most efficient, but he made it work.
Correct.
He was the one that made it work.
Right.
We all thought Vince Young was going to be the next one. We all thought Cam Newton was going to be the next one. Russell Wilson's kind of that guy, but he's more cerebral than those other guys we mentioned. He doesn't like to run very often. He just does it when he has to.
And now you're actually getting into the point of why I hate comparing people because
It is. It's hard.
Everybody's
man, 'cause
got their own
You start
style.
drifting. You start drifting into all
Yeah.
these other quarterbacks, and then you find out you're starting to talk about a quarterback that has nothing to do with the quarterback you just started talking about.
Right. Because one tiny little difference between this
Right.
guy, and it's like, it's just everybody has their own
It's so
style.
splitting hair and semantics, man.
Right. And ultimately, we're just trying to compare black quarterbacks rather than just comparing all quarterbacks. Like, no one, like you said the other day, Daniel Jones actually has the fastest
Fastest
recorded run by a quarterback this year, 20 some odd miles an hour. But with all the other fast quarterbacks in the league, Daniel Jones is the one who leads that league or leads that position or that stat. So, you know, breaking stuff down to black quarterbacks and white quarterbacks really just doesn't even scratch the surface to the point of now we're talking about Pat Mahomes is probably
Right.
one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, if not
The craziest
gonna be.
throwers. Oh my god.
I mean, right, and it doesn't even matter
He just
that he's
chucks the
black.
ball
It's
so
like
crazy.
we should just skip over that whole point now. I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, you and I never talk about that shit, but it just so happens that that's just how it is.
Right.
You know,
I know
Josh
it.
Allen is the only other quarterback that used to be a hardcore running quarterback. He's not so much now, but
Right.
he's a white dude. You know, he's a
For
big
sure.
white dude that runs well. You know, and
Yeah, I mean, shoot, John Elway was a big white dude that ran well.
sure,
You know
for
what I'm
sure. I
saying?
mean, there's tons of Steve Young made a career out of it. You know, he has one of
Absolutely.
the most famous runs of all time. So I mean, even though he was half fallen and looking like he was drunk by the end of it, but
Hey, so we got the top 4 AFC laid out. Now your top 4 NFC. I cannot wait to hear this.
well,
Let's start. Wait. Let's start with 4 and work our way to 1.
all right. Well, my number 4 team is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They just got completely dismantled by the New Orleans Saints. Still a great team, still a great defense. Probably just had an off game. But as we stand right now, halfway through the season, I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Brady's, number 4 on my list. Number 3, we're going to head on to Green Bay. And the Packers playing well. Defense is suspect at times. Aaron Rodgers still playing good. Devontae is looking awesome.
I mean, self-proclaimed best receiver in the league.
I mean, it's hard to argue sometimes. I mean,
I
as
mean,
long as he can stay healthy, but
it's easy to argue, but I mean, it's
he
just
can't,
one of those.
He can't stay healthy, man. That's the whole thing. He can't stay healthy, but at the same time, the Packers, they still look good. Obviously, cream of the crop, one of the cream of the crops of the NFC. So I'm going to have them there. Number 3, I'll bump Seattle down 1 spot to number 2. They ran into a good Bills team at home. You know what I mean? No one rides. What is it? What's their slogan there in Buffalo?
Fool me, don't be fooled again.
Yeah, that's it. Anyways, so I have Seattle number 2. They fix up that defense. That defense has to start playing better for them to make any kind of noise. And my number 1 team, shout out to number 1 from number 4, is New Orleans Saints. They totally dismantled Tom Brady's, and the offense looks crisp. Michael Thomas came back, looked like he didn't miss a beat.
Correct.
The defense just looks awesome.
He could have went to Michael Thomas more,
He could have.
but he spread it
absolutely
out to
could.
11 receivers instead.
12 receivers.
12.
Well, 12 skill positions and a quarterback.
But that quarterback triples as a wide receiver, fullback, running back, receiver, tight end,
Special teams.
special teams. Right. Did I say triples? Because it sounds like I just be named 5 or 6 things.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's
Sextuples.
fun to watch. So yeah, New Orleans number one, man. They're my pick right now. To march on through to the NFC Championship game. I still have to roll the Seahawks though. I picked them at the beginning of the year, so I'll still be riding with them to go to the Super Bowl. But as of right now, how it stands, New Orleans is playing good ball, even though they have a lot of close games. But the dismantling of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers really says it for me. And we even talked about it before the game. This is going to say a lot about New Orleans, and they showed me they're a good team.
Right on. Well, number 4 for me, I'm going to pick Green Bay. I mean, year after year, Aaron Rodgers does everything you've ever asked him to do as a quarterback. He has these shining moments, but for some reason, somewhere in the playoffs, something happens every single year, and he just cannot get it done beyond the capacity of the regular season and maybe 1 or 2 playoff games. But that being said, I still think that they're very competitive. And if everybody can stay healthy and they can find a certain way to do certain things, they can maybe put themselves back in the NFC Championship game. But they are the 4th best team, I think, in my opinion. And 3rd place, I am going to go with the Tampa Brady's. I think I went with them as the best team in the league or in the NFC last week. And I am going to shoot them back to number 3 this week because, I mean, obviously, when you lose that horribly inside your division, I'm
At home.
At home. Oh, God, at home in your division, that was very telling. And if there wasn't a blueprint before, boy, is there now. And boy, are you going to have some tape to work out, Tampa Brady's. I mean, that was insane to watch. But, I mean, honestly, there's still the 3rd best team. I'm not putting them at number 6 or anything. So, and I'm going to put New Orleans at number 2. They are probably the most complete team. And I think that's pretty evident now, but they have a hard time staying healthy. And just as Green Bay has shown in the last many years, they have a problem when they get into the playoffs. For whatever reason, they get screwed or, unlucky.
Yeah,
whatever
they just come put a dud on the situation. That's
right, or there's or they
lot.
just don't play well. But that being said, I think that New Orleans is the 2nd best team at this point. I mean, and it's funny because the Green Bay, New Orleans, and Seattle are all 6-2 teams. They're all 6-2. Mm-hmm. And I am going to go with Seattle as the best team because I think Russell Wilson is the best quarterback. And in crunch time, he is going to get it done. I think that losing to Buffalo by 10 points.
You ran into a hot team.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, Tampa Bay just lost to New Orleans, which is a good team, but they got completely dismantled. I mean, there was a blueprint there that really exposed everything. I mean, Seattle is one of those. Russell had a bad game, some interceptions and some fumbles, and boy, did Josh Allen have a great game. So you run into a great team on a great week at home. I'm not going to fault you for that. I still think still think that Seattle's the best team in the league. They'll figure out just like Kansas City did last year. Their defense will figure it out. But I am interested in hearing what do you think with the NFC Championship game would be. So with those 4 teams, without knowing anything about,
seeding or
anything, do you really see your number 1 and 2 seed in the NFC as the NFC Championship game? Do you see it being New Orleans versus Seattle in the NFC Championship game?
I do, honestly. I mean, really, I never talked down about New Orleans. New Orleans has always been that team that they just have to show me. That's all they have to do. There's no doubt in my mind. Once they start showing me that they're a good team, I think they're a good team. And that's just how it goes with New Orleans because they've showed us that that's how they are. And like we talked about getting screwed or bad games in the playoffs, that has happened.
But I agree with you anyway.
Yeah, and then Seattle it has the pedigree. Pete Carroll's a winner, Russell Wilson's a winner. It's just
right.
They will their teams. Incredibly inspirational dudes.
Consistent.
And very consistent. Absolutely very
Which is
consistent.
the driving force behind my decisions when I think about Sean Payton and Pete Carroll's consistency.
For
which
sure.
is why they're going to be 68 with Pete Carroll just signed a 5-year extension.
Or, yeah,
I think
no, 4, 2024.
Okay, so, yeah, and I agree with you there. I think it is going to be those 2 teams in the NFC Championship game. But the AFC Championship game, we have Pittsburgh and Kansas City. And I also believe, without a doubt in my mind, that is certainly the AFC Championship game, as long as the seeding works out and they can meet there.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you there, too, because
1 and 2 seed.
They're easily the 2 best teams in the whole league, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going to see him on the crash course there. And that's probably going to be the real Super Bowl for the season, is the AFC Championship game, because the AFC is just stacked and there's so much competitive fire there. Whereas the NFC, we have a whole division that's just trash.
Right. And what we're talking about, though, is like the best quarterbacks in the league are also going to go back to the Super Bowl. I mean, not necessarily the best quarterbacks, but Ben Roethlisberger, too. So the best team in Pittsburgh, probably put together all over the place, is Pittsburgh, but best quarterback being Pat Mahomes.
Pittsburgh just finds those skill guys, man.
And I mean, Ben Roethlisberger is probably historically very underrated as far as his ability to make his team very good around him, you know?
Yeah, he is. He knows how to handle all those guys. I mean, he
not
had
only handle, but build them up.
He had two large personalities with Bell and Brown. You know, so him him handling these young receivers, especially Claypool, I'm not surprised.
So we're going to do our Week 10 matchups, gun to our heads. You know, who are we going to pick? You know, how do we feel about each game without really putting too much thought process into anything? So we got Indianapolis at Tennessee. Tennessee favored by 2.
Ooh.
Indianapolis on the road, 5-3 versus 6-2. Who are you going with?
Ooh,
gun to your head.
Indianapolis is gonna wake up from losing last week against Baltimore. So I think Indianapolis. They're not going to cover. Tennessee's not going to cover.
Tennessee's not going to cover. I'm going to go Tennessee to cover the 2 in this game. Phillip Rivers did not look very good last week. Washington at Detroit. Detroit favored by 4. Woo!
Washington at Detroit. I got Detroit covering.
By 4.
We have too many playmakers, and
we don't play well at home.
Washington's not a good team, though.
Silly. Yeah, I'm going to pick Detroit to cover. God, I hate saying that out loud. Anyway, so next up we got Houston at Cleveland. Cleveland favored by 3 at home. Not a big surprise here. I'm going to go with Cleveland to cover this versus Houston.
Cleveland's covering. Too much offensive firepower.
Houston might not be feeling good after that last win versus Jacksonville.
No, they're not. They're just not good enough.
Okay, right on. They might be demoralized because they just got beat by a third-string quarterback.
Yeah, maybe.
So next up, anyways, Jacksonville at Green Bay. Green Bay favored by 13.5.
Woo! At Jacksonville?
At home.
Oh, yeah. Green Bay covering. That offense is going to put up major points.
Dude, but what if it's Luton, man? It's going to be Luton, isn't it?
Yeah. Green Bay's defense is far better than the Texans.
Green Bay, you're 13.5. You're going to pick Green Bay to cover?
Yeah. Green Bay's good.
Gun to your head?
Yep.
Okay, gun to my head. Green Bay's covering. So next up, Philadelphia at New York Giants. Philadelphia favored by 3.5 on the road, 3-4-1 at 2-7. Gun to your head.
Philly covers.
Philly covers 3.5. At home, New York Giants coming off a win, the only team they play good against. I'm going to go with Philadelphia also to cover the 3.5. Next up, gun to my head, Tampa Bay at Carolina. Tampa Bay favored by 5. I'm going to say that does not get covered. Gun to my head right now. After the last 2 performances I've seen out of Tampa Bay, I'm not taking them in anything right now. What about you, Pink?
Brady's pissed. Tampa comes in, covers.
Woo! I like it. 6-3 and 3-6. You're taking the 6-3. Bold statement, Cotton. Denver at Las Vegas.
And this is such a tricky game, man, because Vegas doesn't ever come out to play unless the team's really good. And Denver's like one of those wishy-washy teams.
Well, Las Vegas did beat Chargers last week, and the Chargers aren't very good. If you're looking at their record, and which is Denver has a better record than the Chargers. So 5-3. Vegas favored by 5 in this game at home. I say they cover the 5.
I'm gonna go covering the 5 as well.
Next up, we got the Chargers at Miami. Miami favored by 2.5 at home. This will be weird because, I mean, this is a different style of matchup here. I mean, with, you know, they're not playing a really great team right now. They're just favoring a team that's desperate. What do you think, Pink?
Miami covers.
Miami covers the 2.5.
Defense playing good. Tua showed us he can make those throws.
Everything is so strange in the NFL every week.
It totally is.
This will be the week that I start not picking against Tua until he proves to me that he's not worth picking for. So I'm picking Miami to cover the 2.5 at home. That should have been easy. Buffalo at Arizona. Arizona favored by 130.
I don't think that's right.
I don't think it is either. And I also don't think it's 13. So let's just go with pick 'em.
Buffalo.
Buffalo on the road at Arizona.
I'm gonna pick Buffalo.
I think Buffalo runs into trouble at Arizona. I'm going to go with Arizona on this one.
All right.
Buffalo's doing real well, 7-3. Doesn't look bad. It doesn't really taint their record. They lose to another good team, so I'm happy with it. I think Buffalo does win this game. Or if, let's say, Buffalo's favored by 3, I still think I would pick Buffalo to beat them with the 3.
Right.
Next up, Seattle at the Rams. Another 4 o'clock game. Rams are favored by 1.5, which is interesting, right?
Very interesting, and I don't think they cover.
You don't think they cover?
No. Seattle's going to come back with vengeance. I mean, we've seen it after Seattle lost their first game. Russell Wilson came back and he cooked. And I think he's going to do the same thing. He's going to cook, and he's smart enough to outwit that defense. I'd say Aaron Donald. He's smart enough to outwit Aaron Donald because he's going to be the only one he has to really focus on.
Man, I'm going to go with the Rams to not cover.
Bam.
Okay, San Francisco. I had to really think about that one. I was like, do I really want to make that call? Gun to my head. San Francisco at New Orleans. This is another 4:30 game. New Orleans favored by 9.5. I mean, Nick Mullins doesn't look terrible. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Is that who's coming? Is that who's playing right now? Nick Mullins?
I think it is. It can't be for sure.
So what's your pick? What do you think? Gun to your head.
New Orleans covering.
It is Nick Mullins.
Yeah, New Orleans covering. Offense too powerful. Defense playing lights out. No way San Francisco scores even 17 points on them.
I disagree. I'm going to pick San Francisco to actually stay within this. I'm not saying that they're going to even get remotely close to winning this game, but I think at the end they'll be within closer than 10 points.
Get some junk points.
Yeah, closer than 9.5.
Garbage points.
Yep. Even if it's close enough and New Orleans just has to kind of peel away at the end in order to make it look better than it was. You know, like they're favorite. You know, it's maybe within 1-3, and then they have a field goal or a touchdown later.
Right.
But Cincinnati at Pittsburgh, gun to my head. This is the last 4:30 game. What do you think, man? Pittsburgh?
Hot take, baby. I think Cincinnati comes in and gets it done and beats Pittsburgh.
Woo! That is a hot take.
I think so, man. Joe Burrow's gonna do what Joe Burrow has been doing all season.
Yeah, Joe Burrow.
He's gonna come out there and just throw some lasers, and I think Cincinnati might actually maybe do something defensively, and if they do, I think they're going to win. I think it's going to be more of a shootout than a defensive struggle at all. And I think Burrow's going to have a good game, and T. Higgins, he's going to just go ham and maybe even have a couple of AJ Green spottings. You never know.
I honestly don't think this is as hot take-ish as I think. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that a lot of the money is placed on Cincinnati here.
Well, yeah, Pittsburgh has to lose.
Well, they don't have a line
Cincinnati,
out
it's just Cincinnati is one of those games.
The fact that there's no line tells me that there's a lot of money coming in on it, and they don't know what to do yet.
Right.
So, or they don't have, there's no money coming in on it, obviously, because there's no line set. But at the same time, they have too much information to gauge right now.
Stoners can't figure it out.
And so, because we don't have a line set, what do? How do we make this decision? Gun to our heads. Like,
well, we already know Pittsburgh's going to be favored. I have Cincinnati winning, so it doesn't even matter what the line is in my pick.
Woo! All right, I'll just take the opposite on that one. I'll even say that
the spread's probably going to be like 7.
I was going to say if Pittsburgh's I was going to say 6. If Pittsburgh's favored by 6, then I have no problem with that. When it starts getting to 7, I start to get a little worried. But 6, I'll call it good. We got Sunday night game this week is Baltimore versus New England. I mean, can New England even hang in this game long enough that 7 points?
They're just not good. They almost lost to the Jets, dude.
They
haven't looked good all year.
It was so close to them losing.
After the COVID, after Cam Newton got the cocoa there, the team hasn't been the same.
The cocoa does not taste good.
So Baltimore, I think, easily rolls New England at New England
by 7.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to go with New England stays. I'm going to go with New England stays close enough that 7 is, Baltimore can't cover that. I mean, Bill Belichick is a game plan and sack of potatoes. I mean, with his cutoff sleeves. So he'll figure out a way to shut down whatever it is Lamar Jackson's going to be game planning on that week. He'll be able to adjust to it. I don't think that they'll be able to win that game, no. But I don't think that Baltimore will win by 7 or more. And last up,
NFC North Showdown.
Monday night game, Minnesota versus Chicago, which should be an interesting game because Minnesota's won last couple of games they've played.
Chicago has not been playing good.
Right. Granted, both of those games have been inside the division with Minnesota, but can Minnesota continue their divisional dominance?
What's the spread?
Minnesota's favored by 2.5.
I'll take them to cover, for sure. I think they're going to beat Chicago, and it's going to be more than by more than 2 points.
I'm going to go in the opposite direction. I'm going to favor Chicago in this game, not only to, Minnesota not to cover, but Chicago to win this game.
All right, right on.
Because Chicago they might lose a couple of games, but they will play really good for 3 games in a row, even if it's versus tough opponents or shitty opponents. They'll figure out a way to either rip off 3 in a row or play really well in that 3 games. That'll have people start talking about them again. So I think that ultimately Minnesota does not cover. But we also want to talk about college football shakeup this week. Clemson lost for the first time in 2.5 seasons. Basically.
Yeah. I mean, but it didn't have Trevor Lawrence, so it's not the same, man. And that
Right.
Notre Dame team looks like they're actually probably pretty good.
Trevor Lawrence's record is still the same.
For sure. And that's how I'm going to keep it, too. I don't really...
That's how the NFL is going to keep it as well.
Yeah, because Trevor Lawrence, he's a different monster. He's a pro quarterback playing in college right now. And
He's very mature. I mean, when you hear him talk, and
he's a big man.
He's a big man. He almost has like a baseball personality in the way that he's like just chill.
Well, a surfer. He's a total surfer personality. 6'5", 225, runs like the wind.
But I
has
guess
a cannon
Burrow
for an arm.
Burrow sort of feels like he has that same type of chill attitude,
Well, different type of moxie with Burrow, I think.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm actually surprised though that Notre Dame beat Clemson. I mean, it took 2 overtimes, right?
Yeah, too.
It took 2 overtimes for them to do it. And I'm pretty sure they were up before the game, in most of the game. Notre Dame was. Clemson came back to make it interesting like they did the previous week. Florida beat Georgia. That was a great game.
That was an awesome game. That quarterback they have down there in Florida, man.
Kyle Trask.
Yeah, he's pretty good, man.
Yep,
He
put his work in, man.
He went almost 500 yards, almost beat Tim Tebow's record, man. He had 4 TDs, and he had couple big runs. The kid looks like a gamer, man. Probably a low-key draft watch, to be honest with you.
Yeah, honestly,
because it looked like he can make every throw.
He's put his work in, and there's enough tape to show that his progression has gotten to a point where that he can learn these things, and he's not a child anymore. Now that he's growing into a full man,
right?
And he's making man-type throws and man-type plays, and I mean he's making man-type decisions out there as a quarterback. And at this point, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that he's running a bit of that offense. Like, being in charge of certain plays at certain times, making big boy decisions. This offense, you make the decision. But man, the disappointing talk of the week is really, or of the weekend, I'm sorry, is Michigan just continuing the dismantling of the Jim Harbaugh era. Just,
I mean, the first
exclamation point after exclamation point.
First loss in 33 years or something to Indiana. I mean, granted, Indiana's a pesky team, and we talked about it before the game. Like, Indiana's pesky. They play teams tough, and they really they put the boots to Penn State, even though Penn State hasn't won shit. At the time, though, Penn State was hyped.
Right.
And Indiana's a good team, man. And
Michigan,
I've been off the Harbaugh train for a couple years now, and the guy is just, the game has passed the dude by.
Michigan fans, and I mean the diehard idiot ones, can only accept so much. And when you lose to Indiana, that's one of those things where we have to start looking at. It's like,
line in the sand, dude.
What's going on here? Okay, so all the people that have been defending Jim Harbaugh all these years really have to think and take a hard look at themselves. I mean, even they thought, when they had to accept in their brain that we might lose this game, and then we went out and lost it in the fashion that we did. Not as bad as Michigan State got beat, but
no, Michigan State got their asses handed to them. But we don't expect Michigan State to win.
But we didn't expect Michigan State to win that game. We did not.
We do not expect much out of Michigan State right now.
So that's why this loss hurt a little bit more. But it is good for me to see Michigan State lose once in a while like that, especially while we're losing. I like to see us both succeed at the same time. But if Michigan's losing, I also want to see everybody else lose too. So no offense.
Just how she goes.
That's just how she goes, right?
Not a big deal. I mean, the USC ASU game is pretty good. Had a
good coaching matchup there.
Herm Edwards down there in ASU. He had those boys playing. Remember the first game for Herm was against Michigan State.
It was.
He beat Michigan State.
He beat Michigan State right now. But Clay Helton out there at USC, man, he's been out there quiet for a few years, just developing players and trying to get his workflow down. And maybe they're ranked 25th. I mean, and they just these are all squeakers.
Yeah, it's the Pac-12. Not a lot of huge good talent coming out of the Pac-12. And
USC won
and they've started
28 to
so late. So
27.
this is really kind of like preseason ball. So USC could be actually pretty damn good. Because Herm Edwards he's a pro coach,
Right.
So he's going to have that. He had those kids ready. He knows actual preparation,
Right.
So USC, I think,
agree with you
is
100%
probably
on
going to
that.
be a really good team, and probably something to look for. Even though they're not going to make the playoff, even if they run the table. Just the Pac-12 started way too late because of the politics of everything going on,
Right.
Which is a mistake on their part. But
We all know Oregon's the best team in that division anyway.
right, Oregon and USC and Utah. Pretty good teams.
Yep.
But I don't think they don't hang with the big dogs, from the SEC and the Big Ten and the ACC.
So USC ranked 25th. They squeaked by Arizona State 28 to 27. Texas another squeaker. They squeaked by West Virginia 17 to 13. And,
Texas is always overrated though.
man, the story of the week though, really just you watch that game, the highlights: Liberty versus Virginia Tech. What a
That
great
was
game!
awesome, and shout out to Liberty, man.
Wow, I can't believe. I mean, that's competing in this division with all these
school,
men.
Little school getting it done against the big boys. Even though Virginia Tech is somewhat down, but it's a big boy school. They got a bunch of big time recruits, whereas Liberty has a
For
bunch
sure.
of guys like me.
Right,
You know
I
what I'm
it.
saying?
But guys like you that are dependable, especially their kicker. So Oklahoma State beat Kansas State 20 to 18. So those are your squeakers. I wouldn't expect too much shakeup in the rankings outside of the top 5. I mean, everybody else should kind of stay randomly where they are based on.
Yeah, I mean Clemson
won.
dropped.
But man, what happens after? Does Jim Harbaugh get fired? Does he quit? What happened? I mean, are there?
Jimmy khaki pants Harbaugh.
We wrote down these teams that have possible coaching openings, and while you agree with
some of them
those
loose.
are not right, very loose, based on basically
Just the record.
expectation and record, we think, and how long that coach has been there. The Chargers, the Bears, the Texans, the Lions, the Jets. Obviously, Adam Gase is gone. Minnesota, Jacksonville, Denver. We heard today, but I don't believe anything comes out of Jerry Jones' mouth until it actually happens. But Dallas and Atlanta already fired their coach. So these are possible coaching openings. And, I mean, does Jim Harbaugh fit really well into any of these? Because honestly, I think the first one I named is probably the most attractive to him, the Chargers. But I think Jacksonville is probably the one that makes the most sense, like all around logistically.
Well, you and I both know he needs to go somewhere that has an established quarterback. So we can pretty much take out Chicago,
Jacksonville.
the Jets, Minnesota, Jacksonville, Denver, Dallas, just because Dak is up in the air.
Yeah, they're not gonna take away Mike McCarthy.
Really, that's going to leave us with the Chargers, the Texans, the Lions,
Falcons,
and the Falcons. And out of those teams,
not the Lions.
it's not going to be the Lions for obvious reasons. I think you might go back out west, man. Go back to L.A., dude, or go back to California and go to L.A. and run some Chargers if Lynn gets fired. But I
don't think Lynn will get
honestly, I
fired.
don't see Lynn getting fired.
I mean,
So
I do see him getting fired, but I see everybody else saying he didn't deserve it.
So it's going to be really down to Houston and Atlanta if he were to go back to the NFL. Out of those two teams,
Who would he fit better in with, you think?
I think he'd fit better with Houston because he had a quarterback like Kaepernick he's excelled with.
This is true,
And,
yeah.
and Watson is not Kaepernick, but they're similar style players.
Matt Ryan's more of a,
He's a cerebral quarterback pocket guy.
but he's more of a an Andrew Luck type quarterback. A pocket
well,
style
but Andrew
passer.
Andrew Luck did a lot of running in
He
college.
absolutely did, yeah. I mean,
So-
that was an added. That's why he was as good as he was, because he was a
Absolutely.
pocket passer.
So Harbaugh likes to utilize that the spread, basically the option offense.
right.
And we've seen that that's where he had his best success with every team he's had, basically. So I think it's going to it'd be Houston, if anything.
I think you're right. I think Houston will be the best fit. But I mean, it wouldn't surprise me just to have him come in and work with Atlanta, because he honestly gets defenses working really well. And if he has a quarterback that can just run the show, I think that maybe Atlanta would be the better fit, because he can focus on the other things while the quarterback actually does run the show. Because Matt Ryan has enough experience that I think he could run the show while the personnel and the staff take care of the defense and basically the coordinating of the offense, rather than Jim Harbaugh being like this quarterback whisperer, which I think he's proven that he's not.
Right. I mean, he's totally not. But we see if he does have an established quarterback that he does have pretty good success.
Right.
I mean, he got Rudock from Iowa there in Michigan, and that was Michigan's best year was with Rudock, and he was a solid quarterback.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, but he rode that train as long as he could with the transfers. I mean, and now you're seeing Milton come out, and this is the first opportunity that he's had to show what he's going to do with the quarterback that he developed. And what are we seeing? Nothing. I mean, maybe Jim Harbaugh.
He had a good game against Indiana, but most of it was in garbage time.
I feel like at some point he's going to see a guru that's going to tell him your best job and the best time you had was in the NFL.
Right. You need to go back.
You played in a Super Bowl. Why did you leave? Mm-hmm. But with the NBA draft coming up, and obviously they just signed a new deal with the NBA is going to start December 21st and 22nd.
So happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, really just gives us sports in the middle of the season when it's just football, and I mean just having something else throughout the week to go, but like on nights like tonight when it's
usually we have basketball.
The best thing I got one is what the pre-Masters talk. So no, thank you. Right. I watched all the NFL highlights.
I mean, we respect golf players, but
absolutely.
We're not watching it.
I'm down to check in Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday if I'm somewhere and nothing else is on.
Check the scores out. You know,
just see where somebody's placed. Maybe
watch some monster
20 minutes.
drives. You know,
I'll watch at least 20 more minutes of golf that I do tennis.
Yes.
But that being said, with basketball coming up, they got the draft coming up Thursday.
Awesome.
Yes, I'm very excited about this. Not because the Pistons are going to get better somehow, but
they're talking about. I've heard rumors they want to trade up to the number 1 spot and draft LaMelo Ball.
We're going to trade up to the number 1 spot and draft LaMelo Ball with the number 1 pick.
Yuck. I don't know what everybody's fascination with LaMelo Ball, man, because I understand he's going to be in the top 5. You know, he's one of the highly touted prospects, but I don't know. Nothing about him tells me lottery pick aside from his height and the way he moves. He moves well. He's a turnover machine. He shoots a bad percentage. He doesn't play defense for nothing. I don't see it. Meanwhile, you have a guy like Anthony Edwards. The guy is a freak of nature. He has comparisons to Dwayne Wade and Donovan Mitchell. He's going to be a big problem. He's a big shooting guard. He's heavy. He's like Drew Bledsoe, man. Or not Drew Bledsoe. Eric Bledsoe. Sorry. He's built like him, man. He's a man. You know. So,
you talking about LaMelo?
No. I'm talking about Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards. Okay.
Yeah,
because I mean, James Hand from NBC Sports. He's got LaMelo going number 1 to Minnesota.
Yeah, which is crazy.
He also has him labeled as a point guard, which I didn't know. He's 6'7", 190. Didn't go to college. He played out in Europe or
Australia.
And
he didn't have eye-popping numbers at all against those guys, where I think college ball here is more competitive than Australian
Honestly,
ball.
though, if he played against better opponents, I would expect his numbers to be down. So I don't think the numbers are really what entices me so much as what did he learn and what can he show me versus the current competition versus what he's done. I want to see what he's learned from it because that's essentially what college is for. And he chose to, you know, where he was going to where it wasn't UCLA. He was going somewhere and then got booted out.
He was going to go to UCLA, but he never even went. His brother got booted.
UCLA.
His brother got mooted.
Well, I mean, he's got Anthony Edwards going number 2 to Golden State. Anthony Edwards is a man. He only played 1 year at Georgia.
He's the man. That's what I'm talking about.
He's 6'5", 225.
All the talk's on LaMelo, and we have this guy here that's the obvious number 1 pick in my eyes.
But there's a lot of talk about Golden State drafting him anyway. But trying to trade him away.
Yeah, to get a seasoned player to help because they have all the pieces already to be a top contending team.
Sort of like LeBron came in and did with Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
Got rid of that boy nice and quick. Bye-bye. He's got so the number 3 pick he's got Anthony Edwards, a shooting guard, by the way.
Yeah, he's a man shooting guard.
And number 3 he's got James Wiseman. You remember him?
Yeah, we all know about James. He's a traditional center that has a jump shot.
Right, 7'1", 235.
He's gonna have to develop that jump shot and stretch it out even further to 17 to 20 feet to be viable in this league.
And we don't really know how well he was in college at that because we only have like
a couple of games
afoot. I mean, granted, so did Kyrie, but you know, maybe they just know. And I mean, honestly, I'll go with the experts. He's probably that good, but he's going to Charlotte. I don't know how much. You know, I don't know how much playing time he's going to get there, or I don't know if he's going to have the whole boat.
It's just so hit and miss. It's just so hit and miss with traditional centers. But the thing is, he is 7'1" and he moves good, and he has a large frame. He's going to be a big man. Like I said, he moves well. He runs the floor. We do know that about him. He has nice hands. He has a nice little jumper, which he has to extend.
Right.
And he has quite a few post moves. Good defender.
If I'm an NBA executive right now, I'm not taking anybody who's a center in the top 5 picks.
No, unless he is like
Or even
a
top
stretch. Unless he's a
8.
true stretch center.
Right.
That's a good ball handling and a handler and passer, because that's what you need to be.
I wouldn't want to build my team around a person like Joel Embiid, not because I don't think Joel Embiid's good, but because I don't think that position is really called for and relied upon.
What about Joker?
I think he plays it differently, though.
Well,
He plays with effort every single night.
he's more of a a point guardish center too.
Point forward. He really
point
is.
Center.
He doesn't have to run the ball up the floor, but as soon as somebody else runs the ball up the floor, it goes right to him.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 4, Chicago's pick. They got him going with the point guard, Killian Hayes, 6'5", 185.
Yeah, Killian Hayes is the man, dude.
He's played in Germany. I mean, I don't really know much about this kid. He's only 19 years old, but 6'5", 185.
Super long.
Thin frame.
Yeah, but he's super long, and he's fast, and he has a nice jumper.
Well, we'll see. I mean, Chicago, I don't really think point guards at this point at this stage of the NBA are game changers as far as your team goes.
Well, no.
But, I mean, if Chicago thinks that they have the other positions...
And he's not really projected to be like a superstar. He's going to be like a steady the boat type player. He's not going to be your guy that's flash and all this other jazz. You know what I mean? He's going to come in. He's going to take care of the ball.
So I think when you're drafting the top 5, you draft for flash. That's what you have to draft for, because you're not going to get that anywhere else.
Yeah, I understand that. But as far as a pure point guard goes, he's the guy. If you want a pure point guard, a very a slashing, careful. You know, he's good with the ball. What I've read up on him, very limited video.
Well, I mean, he's a point guard. I would assume he's good handles.
Yeah. I mean, well, we've seen some point guards suck.
Well, we got another guy coming in from Israel. His name's Denny Avdija. Sorry,
yes.
James Hands got him going to Cleveland, 6'9", 215. He's from Tel Aviv, Israel. He's only 19 years old.
Smooth shooter. Moves good without the ball.
Small forward.
Yep, moves good without the ball. Good spot up. Good off the dribble. They drew comparisons to Hedo Turkoglu, if you remember him.
Oh, yeah.
In the day back
dude,
with the
he had a
Kings.
stroke.
Yeah.
6'9",
yeah,
215.
very smooth. He's a silky smooth player, kind of like Gordon Hayward. Even
I don't know if
before
you
Gordon Hayward blew out his knee 29 times.
I don't know if you draft Turkoglu with the 5th pick overall, though. I mean,
no, but Hedo had his day though.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he's more agile than Hedo Turkoglu. Jesus.
Right.
All right, so and we only did 6 because
there's just so many.
The Pistons picked 7th, and we were just going to be biased
about
about everything we said. So we decided to keep it at 6. And 6.
We want the Pistons to get
Atlanta has
Obi
the 6th
Toppin.
pick. Yeah,
Obi Toppin is the
which
man.
is why I'm so glad he's not on any of these
Granted,
lists.
he's 32 years old already, but
32 years old.
No, but he's like 24 though. He's going to be an old ass rookie, but I like that though because he's going to be coming in. He's going to have the brain of a man.
See,
whereas most of these kids are 19. Most of these kids are 19. They're kids still. I know when I was 19, I was stupid. You know what I mean? Even at 24, I was stupid, but not as stupid.
The passion you're speaking with right now makes me think that you are starting to think that we might draft Obi Toppin.
I think we will, as long as we don't do something stupid and get LaMelo Ball.
Oh, man, don't get your hopes up, man, because your hopes get up, and then you start to talk a lot, and then my hopes get up. And then
I'm just happy we don't have Stan Van Gundy anymore.
Well, the last pick is Atlanta's pick, and this dude, John, we'll just call him John Hamm. That's funny. It's better than his real name. Tyrese Halliburton, 6'5", 175 out of Iowa State. Even 2-year player. It's odd these days.
Yeah. Well, some guys don't really develop until they get a little older. You know what I mean? Like we've seen Dennis Rodman grow 6 inches in college.
Yeah, but we see people go to Michigan State and we see them develop. Like Draymond Green went all 4 years, didn't he? Or at least 3.
For sure. Denzel Valentine went a few years. Even Gary Harris went 2 years.
Cassius went 3 years.
Bridges went 2 years.
So we're used to seeing this, but when you look around, the rest of these guys are all 19 and are 1-year players.
Yeah, well, that's how usually the top of the draft.
And they're all exactly the top of the draft is the youngest dude.
The top of the draft always looks that. We're going to see it. We're going to get a Monty Bates at Michigan State. He's going to be a 19-year-old rookie too. That's going to be better than LeBron James.
I would look forward to actual footage of Dellin. Thank you for bringing me some Monty Bates.
Oh, we will. This coming in the future.
We're going to work hard to get an interview with him.
We're gonna try. But it just takes guys like you to spread our word out, and gals, obviously. Share our videos, and if you like us, you like us. If you don't, just act like you've never seen us before in your life.